one of the things that I think is an obstacle for probably less people than they actually think, but still a number of people, is absolute strength metrics just still aren't there for them. So for example, they still can't snatch, the fourth ladder in 17.3, for example. Like they just don't have, whether it's the battery or just like the absolute strength numbers, like the actual 1RMs to be able to get to the next level in the sport. And then also they don't perform as well as they could on 17.5, which is just like an engine workout with like thrusters and double unders. So if you have someone in that scenario, again, an intermediate athlete, that same avatar, how might you lay out their training year or a particular cycle to get both of those metrics better over time?
I do approach training and the layout of training based around kind of the goals for the year. So most people, the open becomes kind of the big goal. We might have like smaller competitions people want to do, but everybody will have a bigger goal for the year. And I want to use the term peaking lightly or loosely, because most people don't have enough fitness and volume built to actually really peak. It's not really peaking. It's just making them fresh, making them confident, and making them feel fit for whatever they're doing. But there are some, like games athletes, who are trying to peak at a specific time in the year for a specific event, and they have the volume built to do that. So we have our date, which is usually, the open. It's in February, March. December is when we're starting like the open specific preparation, 12 to 16 weeks out, where everything's starting to now funnel down towards the open. So from April until December, so that'd be like 7 months or 7 or 8 months, we're training and working on characteristics that we need to improve for the next year. And so in the middle of that, which is usually July, I do a testing block where I'm testing characteristics with people. So, we get a good 3.5 months of training, and then we test a good amount of things to see how the system's doing, to see where the pieces we wanted to improve upon are at. And then the next 3-ish months allows me time to work on the pieces we want to keep tightening before we get into preparation for the open, when we're not necessarily hitting a particular skill set, but we're starting to just sharpen everything and get the system ready for the competition. So with regard to strength and capacity, because of course those are the big, like, am I strong enough? Can I breathe well enough? And maybe if you just slept more, you could breathe better and you would adapt to your strength training faster.
There you go.
But yeah, I also wrote a blog recently that got a lot of traction on absolute strength and strength speed numbers for the sport. And how I approached it was I identified base level numbers for your snatch that you need at each level. So like for the open, I identified it was, I think, 155 for females, 225 for men, which was the fourth bar in 17.3. Mm-hmm. Like you need to be able to snatch those to compete in the open, not participate, because there's 250,000 people doing the open and probably only 50,000 can snatch 225, 155, maybe less. And then from that, I use structural balance percentages to then create numbers for all the subsequent lifts above that: clean and jerk, front squat, back squat, deadlift. So like if somebody was in great balance, like what would those numbers be? And then that's what the numbers I came out with. And then for the sanctionals, I think it was 175 female and 245 or 250 men or male. And then for the games, it was 275 and 185 female. So, and the caveat I put in there was there are exceptions. This doesn't mean all of them will always hit that, because I have athletes currently who can't hit some of those numbers and they're at those particular levels, right? But those become a beacon to aim at. Like I want to be able to hit those numbers to play at that level. And so that's important. And if somebody, snatches 205 and then they want to compete in the open and they want to qualify for quarterfinals, then that next 7 months of training, we might need to put a little extra effort into working on the snatch, making that rise up. And then with capacity is interesting because we could talk a lot about that. My what would be the word? My perspective is a lot of people have more capacity than they think, but they're not able to access it because of poor training protocols, poor lifestyle, lack of efficiency and movement quality, lack of awareness in pacing and how they handle tasks in capacity-based testing. So there's a lot of variables that people are not aware of that play into capacity and strength too, but not it like strength is, it's a little bit more black and white. You either can lift the weight or you can't, which is why it's great. But with capacity, a lot of people have more than they think. They just don't access all of it. So efficiency becomes something that people can wrap their hands more around and really try to improve to express more that they already have.